Bruce, at this point, with having the day in between everything, is there really much left to say to the players, knowing where they're at and what they try to accomplish tonight?
Well, I mean, other than the typical, game prep, there's not a whole lot else. They know what's at stake. So we went through our special teams yesterday. We talked about areas of our game I thought got better as the game went on. Breakouts specifically, we didn't handle them well early. So we'll do our typical routine. Guys will have an optional skate, and away we go. So no, there's no rah-rah speeches here. We win a game, we advance. We understand that. We lose, we go home and play game 5. That's pretty much where it's at for us.
Second row on the left, Dan.
Coach, what have you seen Brandon Carlo in these playoffs? So do you feel that he's elevated his game? And as an aside to that, why do you like him? What is the pair? Why do you like that?
I like the pair because Krug's a good puck handler. Brandon, if his game gets away from a little bit, it's usually with the puck. His puck decisions, or he gets nervous with it, loses confidence, however you want to phrase it or categorize that. But and Torey's a calming influence on him in that regard, and I think Brandon can cover a lot of ice if Torey, for whatever reason, is on the offensive side of things. Brandon's pretty reliable to stay. He's thinking defense first. Really enjoys the shutdown role. I think he was brought in the league with Z as his partner, so that was a great learning experience for him to understand what it takes every night to play against top players. So that's why I think the pair works. They like each other. That helps as well. Have a mutual respect for each other's talent level. And then, as he surprised me in the playoffs early on, I think it did, because it was his first playoff. You don't know what you're going to get. But this is what we see out of Brandon in the regular season for a long time. Steady, solid defensive player, good penalty killer, reliable. So in that regard, it doesn't surprise me. He's just playing as he always has. It's just with the bigger stage, you always wonder. And he's passed the test so far.
Far left, Fluto.
Bruce, you've talked about the rotation with Tuukka and Yarrow, but I'm wondering how that aligns with your development of thinking regarding that. Like, you use Kolzig as a pure workhorse, and now the position has evolved to where there's not as much clear-cut disparity between the two. How's that your thinking?
Well, it depends on the individual first. Can he handle the workload? And with Tuukka, I think before I got here, they started charting his starts, trying to trend down to maybe where it was, or the traditional goaltending number was. So there was some analytics backing that up, that he played better hockey with a number of starts maybe in the 50s as opposed to the 60s. I'll use those raw numbers, but I'm not sure exactly what they were. So I think at the end of the day, it's, where's the goalie most comfortable and what range? So we identified that this summer. Don did a good job, but we knew going in we needed a good backup. We needed a guy who could play at least 30 games and win his share. Doby did a great job for us the year before, and Halak has been terrific for us. So I think it's a product of where Tuukka is in his career, what's the workload he can handle, and then the stress of the game now. I think the goalies have a lot more action around the net. The game's faster, so it's obviously faster for them as well. I don't know if there's more or less contact than there used to be. That I'm not sure on, but I just think that the schedule is more condensed with the time. The breaks you have, that 4 or 5 day break, so you're playing more hockey in less amount of nights. So I think that stresses the goaltending position as well. So there's probably those 2 or 3 factors, but I'd say first and foremost, Fluto, it's the individual. What can he handle? Then you work from there.
More questions for Coach? Second row here on the right.
Bruce, there was another controversial goal last night in St. Louis. What's your take on that? Is it time for the NHL to expand their video review policy?
I don't know about all that. It looked like a hand pass to me. I'm watching the game. It didn't get called. I don't know what else. I have no strong opinion on expanding replay. I'm probably one of the guys that sometimes thinks there's too much involved. There's human error in the game. You got to live through it. But the argument that's made is, with technology, everyone in the rink sees the play, so how can you not use it if it's available to you? But we could probably sit here for an hour to go through it all, but I just, that you get some calls go your way, some don't. You got to play through. That's just tough in overtime. The game's over. You don't have an opportunity to sort of put it behind you, get back out there in the ice immediately. You got to wait 2 days. So unfortunate for St. Louis.
Because you've been through that kind of situation in the last round, when the puck hit the netting. So I guess it was frustrating for you to see, like 3 seconds later, that
Yeah, it was, but like I said, at least for us, we had a chance to regroup and play. St. Louis didn't get that opportunity last night. That's the part that stinks for them, to be honest with you. We had a chance to sort of, put it behind us. I think it was, I forget what period it was in, but there was still hockey left to be played. So at the end of the day, for us, it wasn't as punitive, obviously, as it was for St. Louis.
Take a few more for Coach. Second row on the left.
Back to Carlo, one of the things you mentioned is that he came into the league and he was partners with Z right off the start, and that helped him. It would seem obvious why that would help him, but what do you think are some of the little details that he got from playing with Zdeno that have enabled him to be as effective playing with Torrey, which is the obvious opposite?
Yeah, well, if you're talking about technique, I'd assume. I think the biggest thing was the mindset, Dan. That's what I know that Z had talked to me about. That with Carlo playing against top players every night to relish that. Okay, who's on the? Every team has high-end guys. So we're playing Tampa. Okay, you got Stamkos, Kucherov tonight. We really gotta. Here's how we're gonna frustrate them. This is what they like to do. And I think that was the first thing Z taught Brandon, is have the mindset to relish and watch guys get frustrated if they don't get their offensive chances. Technique-wise, battling in front of the net, getting under sticks instead of on top of them. How to box out. So those were the little things he helped him with. PK positioning, how to scope out, have a good stick, still be in the shooting lane. Brandon's long, so he's very similar to Z there, just plays on the other side, and he's done a good job with that. So those are probably the biggest thing. The puck play stuff, I don't know. They'd have to ask Z there. I know I worked hard with Brandon. I was the assistant then on getting him to be comfortable on the offensive blue line, comfortable making an escape move and then making a good first pass. So that's kind of the area I got dialed into him with. But Z certainly helped him with how to play as a big man, and who better, right? Because 165, 169. So I think that's real relevant. Whereas Torrey's probably gravitated now more towards, hey, this is where I'm going to beat outlet, so we can break down a forecheck or we can keep possession of the puck. So Torrey's probably taught him thinking the offensive side of things, how we can, get going that way. And I assume that's where we'll hope to see Brandon grow his game. And I think he has. He's more comfortable with it for the most part, and we'll see how that plays out.
Last one, front left.
It didn't seem like Bergeron was that noticeable in the offensive zone in last game. What's his impact been throughout the series and that game, I guess?
I think the last game he spent a lot of time defending, too much for his liking, too much for that line's liking. Jay Pandolfo will take him aside during the year, and Joe Sacco, and go through their shifts. So they had a little meeting again yesterday. Usually it's to sort of get everyone on the same page. Bergie's always on the right page. Marsh and Pasta are creative guys, so they will tend to wander a little bit, and not necessarily a bad thing. We want them to play to their strengths. So I think that's what happened. They got to get them all thinking the same way again. And hopefully they're back to being the offensive force. It's going to happen. Stahl's a good player, and that's the matchup they want. He's hard to play against. So they're going to have to fight through some of that. Slavin's been very good for them. So part of it is you got to credit the opposition. And right now, they've done a good job with them. But I suspect that you can't keep a good guy down for long in terms of that line. And I believe they'll get going offensively. But they do have to work together.